Welcome to Adu Globe. Discover new ideas, learn exciting things, and be amazed every day. Imagine waking up to news that a nation's vital energy lifeline has been struck. Columns of smoke rise from massive refineries, and questions spread faster than the flames themselves. Is this just another attack, or the beginning of a larger crisis? For decades, refineries were seen as untouchable, symbols of strength, heavily guarded and far from the front lines. But now, even these giants are vulnerable, and the impact of a single strike ripples far beyond the battlefield. This is not just about war tactics, it's about everyday life. Every explosion has a chain reaction. Fuel prices climb, markets react, and families around the world feel the pressure at gas stations and supermarkets. In the early phase of the conflict, Ukraine's strategy was centered on defense. Trenches were dug deep into the ground, protective barriers were built, and communities lived with the constant pressure of survival. The aim was clear: hold the line and protect the people from immediate threats. But as time passed, it became clear that staying defensive was not enough. The real power of an enemy is not only on the battlefield but also in the economy that fuels its strength. This realization changed the direction of Ukraine's strategy. Ukraine began focusing on innovation, building drones and designing new tactics to strike at vital infrastructure. The goal was not to destroy cities, but to disrupt energy systems, refineries, and supply routes, creating ripple effects far beyond the front line. This marked a turning point, from simply defending ground to reshaping the conflict itself. Recent drone attacks have targeted several oil refineries, disrupting energy production on a large scale. Independent reports suggest that nearly 1/5 of refining capacity has been affected, equal to hundreds of thousands of barrels per day going offline. Maps and data highlight the scope of these strikes. Multiple regions have been affected, each with facilities vital to fuel supply. Even temporary shutdowns create ripple effects: transport delays, shortages, and expensive repair work. Fires and explosions captured in video footage show how new tactics are redefining modern conflict. Drones, low cost compared to missiles, are capable of striking high-value targets, proving how technology is changing the rules of war. Following the refinery strikes, ordinary citizens began to feel the consequences directly. Within weeks, fuel prices rose sharply. Reports suggested an increase of more than 50% in some areas. For drivers and transport companies, this meant higher costs with every trip. Long queues started forming at gas stations, as people rushed to fill their tanks before the next price hike. In several cities, fuel became so limited that authorities introduced restrictions on how much could be purchased. Some stations capped the amount each driver could buy, while others temporarily ran out of supplies altogether. For everyday commuters, this created frustration and uncertainty. For truck drivers and small businesses, the rising costs directly cut into their profits, making transportation and delivery much harder. Economic experts warn that fuel disruptions do not stop at the pump. When transportation becomes more expensive, food and essential goods also rise in price. This puts pressure on households already struggling with inflation. Families are forced to spend more of their income on basic needs, reducing what they can save or spend elsewhere. The result is a cycle where economic strain spreads far beyond the energy sector. The ripple effects extend internationally as well. Energy markets are interconnected, and sudden changes in supply from one major producer influence global pricing. As refineries remain offline and repairs take time, uncertainty drives market volatility. This situation highlights how modern conflicts are no longer contained to battlefields. They affect economies, trade routes, and the daily lives of millions. In the beginning, many believed these strikes would be limited, one or two isolated attacks to send a message. But as the months unfolded, it became clear this was not a random tactic. Instead, Ukraine had shifted to a consistent strategy, launching repeated strikes against the same energy facilities. The goal was not just temporary disruption but long-term pressure, ensuring repairs could not restore production quickly. Each time repairs began, new strikes followed. This created a cycle where resources had to be spent again and again on fixing the same facilities. Engineers and workers found themselves racing against time, while energy managers struggled to maintain stability in the system. The intention was clear: to make recovery almost impossible and to stretch the opponent's economic resilience thinner with every week that passed. This strategy represents a significant upgrade in modern warfare thinking. Instead of one-off symbolic attacks, the idea is to sustain pressure by striking again before the target has recovered. It's less about immediate destruction, and more about time, forcing constant delays, rising repair costs, and creating an atmosphere of ongoing uncertainty. In effect, the battlefield expands into the calendar itself, where every delay becomes part of the strategy. Military analysts often describe this as a transition from isolated strikes to a sustained campaign. It demonstrates how smaller forces can amplify their impact by being persistent rather than relying only on scale. Repetition creates results over time, and this persistence can shape not only the battlefield but also the larger political and economic landscape. It shows that modern strategy is not always about size, but about patience, timing, and continuity. In recent months, military observers have pointed out that the battlefield is not only about drones and refineries anymore. Behind the scenes, Ukraine has reportedly been developing a new long-range weapon system, unofficially nicknamed the Flamingo missile. Unlike short-range drones that target nearby facilities, this missile is designed to travel far deeper. Analysts suggest that if it proves successful, it could potentially reach targets far beyond the front line, possibly even large urban centers. The reports highlight that this is not just about raw firepower, but about reach and precision. A system like the Flamingo could extend the range of operations significantly, meaning strategic sites once thought secure may suddenly find themselves within reach. Experts describe this as a potential game changer, not because of immediate destruction, but because of the uncertainty it introduces. If leaders and planners cannot predict what is safe, the psychological pressure grows even stronger. What makes this development particularly dramatic is the timing. With ongoing strikes already stretching resources, the introduction of a new weapon capable of reaching deeper into critical areas raises new questions for both sides. Some experts warn that if tested and deployed, it would change the strategic calculations of the conflict. Others remain cautious, reminding that not every new weapon fulfills its early promises. For now, the idea of a missile with such extended reach remains a subject of speculation and anticipation. The future of the Flamingo missile, whether real or exaggerated, symbolizes the constant evolution of modern warfare. Each new system represents not only engineering and technology, but also messaging, sending signals about innovation, resilience, and capability. Whether or not this particular missile proves effective, its mere mention influences conversations, strategies, and perceptions. In this sense, the Flamingo is already shaping the narrative, even before its first flight. While the strikes directly impact refineries on the ground, their influence travels far beyond the battlefield. Many European nations, despite years of discussions about reducing reliance, still purchase significant volumes of Russian energy. This creates a paradox. On one hand, there are sanctions and political tensions, but on the other, there remains a dependency on oil and gas shipments. The result is a complicated web where every disruption in supply can ripple across borders, affecting industries, transportation, and even daily life in faraway places. Inside the halls of the European Parliament and other global institutions, these issues are at the center of heated debates. Lawmakers discuss how to balance economic stability with ethical responsibility. Some push for immediate diversification into renewable energy and alternative suppliers, while others warn that sudden changes could trigger shortages and inflation. This divide highlights the complexity of modern geopolitics, where moral choices, economic pressures, and national interests all collide. Beyond Europe, the rest of the world watches closely. Asian markets track fluctuations in energy prices. African and Latin American countries, many of which depend on affordable fuel imports, feel the secondary effects as costs rise. For global trade, disruptions in one part of the energy chain quickly spread worldwide, proving once again that energy security is not a local matter but a shared global challenge. This interconnectedness ensures that what happens in one refinery or port resonates across the planet. The geopolitical angle of these strikes shows that no conflict exists in isolation. Energy, politics, and economics are intertwined. While Ukraine's actions target specific infrastructure, the broader effect extends to boardrooms, parliaments, and households worldwide. This is why discussions about the future of energy are not just about numbers and barrels, They are about stability, resilience, and the choices nations make in times of crisis. As we close this report, one thing is clear: the recent strikes have shaken the energy sector and raised serious questions about the future of stability in global markets. The oil industry has taken a significant hit, but is this just a temporary disruption, or are we witnessing the beginning of a long-term transformation? Only time will reveal the true scale of this impact. Conflicts like these are never limited to battlefields. They ripple outward, into economies, into politics, and into the lives of everyday people. That is why understanding these events is so important. What looks like a localized event today may define global energy and security tomorrow.